G'day guys, today I'll be taking a look at the FunnyPlaying Game Boy Color FPGA kit from FunnyPlaying, as the name suggests. It was around $80 USD, all up with the shell. I am going to be using my own buttons, just from an old broken Game Boy Color, and membranes. But we did buy the shell with it, and all up it came to about 120 Australian, if you're interested. So I've got the box, all I've done is peeled off the postage label, and I haven't opened it, so let's take a look together. Just being careful we don't break anything inside with Mr. Stanley. Alright, so inside we've got a little black box. I'm guessing that's the kit. That's the shell. You can't use an original shell unless you Dremel the screen bezels slightly. It's because the new screen does stick to the outside instead of the inside like a real Game Boy Color. And we've got the stickers it comes with. Let's take a look in here. Okay. So we've got the stickers. I believe this goes on the battery and this goes under the screen. We've got a little instruction manual, which is pretty cool. So we'll follow along with this today. Tells us how to test it. Awesome. We've got the speaker, which is sealed, which is, I guess, neat. The LCD. It says to test it before we install it, just to make sure that we haven't broken anything, so we'll definitely do that before we start. A little lithium battery. What is it? 1800 milliamp hour. It's got some weight to it. Premium feel. And we've got the board. There it is there. So to start off, I'll clear the area and we will test it to make sure it works. Starting off, we will test everything to make sure it works. So we'll just open up the battery little baggie. There we go. Carefully slide it out. Don't use scissors, obviously, when opening it for safety. So, battery, need a little speaker. See if I can just... There we go. It's a cute little package. There's the speaker. And finally, the screen. So we'll start by plugging the speaker in, and then we'll do the screen. And then the battery, actually. Turn it off. So the manual says to do the LCD first and then the battery and speaker. So we'll do that. So put that aside briefly. Flip it over. I will sit down for this. So it flips up here. So this little black tab lifts up. And very carefully, we want to, it's a bit finicky, insert the ribbon. Sorry if my head's in the way. Alright, I guess that's in. Oh. That must be in there. We'll lock it down. Okay. I will put this under it so nothing shorts out. Oops. Alright, turning it over. Again, make sure nothing's shorting, looks good. Might put the manual on the other side actually. Just there we go. So next is plug in the speaker. The little ring can come off for now, that'll go in the case to hold it in. And it is keyed. Let's make sure it's in frame actually. Yep. Plug it in. Goes the other way. On the speaker connector, there is a small dot on one side and the two plastic extrusions on the other side. The small dot goes on the bottom. And the battery. In the battery clip, there's two little notches on one side and not on the other. It's that side that goes down onto the board. There we go. It just clicks in, and it was already on. Trying to turn it all over carefully with nothing shorting. Beautiful. Alright, that looks insulated, or isolated at least. And we'll just very carefully turn it on. It looks good. Don't know if that comes across on camera. I'll just refocus. So that does work fine. There we go. There's no dead pixels and it's nice and bright, so I'm happy with that. So we will turn it off, disassemble everything that we've just assembled, and start the final assembly process. Before we start assembling the FPGA kit, we will need the buttons and the pads from an old Game Boy, unless you've purchased them from the site, which we didn't. So we'll start by taking our old Game Boy Color apart. For this, all we'll need is a tri-wing and a star head. So put it down. Okay, that should be all the screws on the back. Take that off. Next, take off the Phillips head inside. And last one. Okay, I'll leave the screen in there, don't need to take that out. I'll steal the membranes as well. There's the membranes. Steal the buttons. It's a bit tricky getting out that one. There we go. So we've got A, B, start, select the D-pad, as well as membranes. I'll carefully pop that back down. Oh, speaker's having a bit of a struggy. There we go. Cool. That's the tri-wing. I'll start screwing it back together just for later. Last one. I would like to refurbish this Game Boy Color later on with a new LCD, maybe a new case as well. So that'll be a future project. Alright, so that's the buttons harvested. So I'll cut here and we'll start the assembly. So we've got all the parts we need now. We can start assembling. I did also have to take the power switch out of the other Game Boy because it wasn't included in the kit. And I've opened the shell that it came with. It came with a shell, Game Boy Color stickers on the back, and a little bag of screws which I've already taken out here. So let's get started. We'll start by putting the D-pad in. It is keyed. As you can see, there's a notch here. There's a notch in the top right. Just make sure they line up, otherwise it won't sit flush. And the B key, which is keyed as well. It won't fit in the A slot, so that's nice and easy. And the A key. Oops. There we go. Next, the membranes. So the D-pad one can go either way. It's not keyed. Just make sure it fits over the two little pegs. Like that. Nope. There we go. That's the D-pad. And the A and B buttons, they are keyed, so the big hole's on the bottom. The big post. Like that. I'll leave that in the frame so you can see it. The start and select aren't keyed, so they just go in there. And the speaker goes on next. So it came with a little grommet. This does stop it from rattling around in the case, so just make sure you put it on. There we go, it just sits on there. And pop it in the case gently. Oh, I think that's good. The grommet has stuck up a little bit, but it's still firm, so that should be fine. We'll pop top half on, and that's sitting flush. Make sure the headphone slot sits flush with the case. If the speaker's slightly off, the board will hit the speaker and it won't sit flush. So make sure that's nice and flush. And also the power button. Oops, goes this way. Goes that way. There. That's the power button in. We'll put the IR cover on after we screwed it down. So next we just have to screw it in. There's 3 screws. A lot of the guides recommend not putting the middle screw in, just the 2 outside ones, so we'll do that today. So the longer screws are the tri-wing. They go on the shell on the outside, and the shorter screws go inside. So there's the 2 short ones. There's the 3rd short one. And there's the 6 long ones. So it just goes in. Again, we're just going to put the 2 in. Which I believe is this one. Oop. Make sure you don't over tighten it. That's obviously not tight enough, but you don't want to over tighten it. You might crack the case. Some guides do recommend to start threading the screw in and then unthreading a little bit and doing that so you don't crack the posts. So if it looks like I'm screwing it in and unscrewing it, that's why. We'll go back to this side, do the same thing. Loosen it a bit, tighten it a bit, loosen it a bit. Oops. And we'll just test how the buttons feel. D-pad's fine, but the A and B are a little bit soft. And the start and select. So we'll just screw in the A and B side a bit more, which is this side. It's important not to over tighten it. So that looks good. That looks good. And they feel good. Okay, so that's in. I'll just plug the speaker in now. There is a little bump on one side of the plug, and that goes at the bottom. So it's hard to see, but there it is there, and it clicks in. Then have to try and thread the speaker cable a little bit like that. That'll do. the power button did fall out, which is that one. We'll do the IR shield first, or the IR cover. So it goes with the cutout on the bottom. It's a little bit tricky getting in, it's a bit stiff on this case. There we go. Took a bit of force getting it down, but that's nice and snug. And the power button. Oops, goes this way. Make sure you have it over the switch. There we go. Make sure it works. Yep. Okay. Believe that's all we have to do on this side. Now we can put the back cover on, which is here. Take that off. So that should sit in there nicely. That looks good. The power button looks good. IR shield looks good. That looks fine. They look good. And again, the buttons are fine. So we'll screw in the 6 tri-wings. Make sure it's in shot. Again, you don't want to over tighten it. And you can do the in a little bit, add a little bit trick as well. The next one. Feels good. Put the next one in. It is a bit boring to watch, but it gives you an idea of how long it will take to do it yourself. A lot of the other videos, they cut out all this stuff. So it's good to see the struggles. I haven't screwed these in all the way, by the way. I'll go back over them again. Need to take the AA battery pads out as well. If you can see it, they came installed in the case. Okay, so we'll try to take these out. Probably should have done it before I screwed it down. But it does look like they just pull out. No, I think it is clipped in there. I will have to take the case back off and take it out, so I'll do that off camera. I'll pause here, come back. Just as a little extra bit, to get this out, it was wedged in here, like so. So to take it out, just flip it over, and I used just my small Phillips head. I stuck it in the little gap, just in between there, which pokes the little clip there. So I poked that down from the back, and it literally just fell out. It was that easy. All right, I'll put the back on for the second time. Make sure I've got the right screwdriver. Okay, so like last time, I haven't screwed it in all the way, so I'll go back over them now. You don't want to over tighten it because it will crack the case. You just want it just enough so it's closed. So that one feels good. A little bit more on that one. So I'm just going by how springy the case is apart. It should be no gap at all, ideally. So a little bit more on that one there, and that one stopped by itself, which is good. And that one wants to stop there, so I'll stop with that one. And then finally these two, the bottom. Okay, that looks good. They're nice and flush. The case is sealed. Yep, that looks all good. Okay, I think we're ready for the second last step. Now, if you've got an all black case or you don't want the battery to show through, I believe that's what the big sticker's for. So you just peel that off and wrap it around in it. But we won't bother with this just because not too fussed with it. Okay, so just again with the battery, I don't know if you can see it here. If I can focus down on it, made it quite a lot worse. I'll focus back on my hand. So on the battery plug, there's two notches on one side. You can sort of see it on there. On the other side, there's the two shiny pins. You want to use the side with the two notches. So the two shiny pins should be facing up. That's just where they're crimped into the wires, the terminals. So that faces up, and it goes into the little slot there. It is quite tricky to get in. They say don't use anything metal because you can short it out. So I'll use my old trusty toothpick if I can find it. Let's get a new one. There we go. Got a nice new toothpick. And I'll just use that to very gently press the battery in. So you probably won't be able to see it. I'll try and focus down on it. But it is tricky. So again, the two shiny pins up. Thought I had it, but it was just the toothpick breaking. Okay, that feels pretty good. The battery just slides in there. See if we get the power bing. Yep, we did. So the battery's in correctly. Hopefully you heard the beep. We can put the back case on. I don't think I need to take that out before I install it. Should be fine. I'm pretty sure the video, they left it in while they installed it. Okay, so make sure it is off. Now we can finally put the screen in. Like a mirror on the back. The little sticker there, I believe does go, it's on the outside. Let's just test fit it. Like, it does go in. Like that. So I believe the sticker does go under there to stop it from shorting out. I will just confirm and come back. I did double check on the FunnyPlaying official video, or the Macho Nacho video, and he didn't stick it down. Some of the videos I've seen them stick it on top just so you can see, or you can't see the sort of the copper, but it looks like you don't need it. I was just worried about it touching the pins down there, but there is quite a big gap, so it shouldn't. Alright, and it does rest on here anyway, so it shouldn't do it. So again, lift up the ribbon tab here. So that should be up, like that. And we'll very trickily try and, again, make sure it's turned off. Oops, that's the volume. Okay, that's off there. And, oh, it's a tricky one to get in. There we go, that's in. Push it down. Like that. And I'll flip it over gently, power it on. And it's a bit bright, I'll just refocus on it. It does seem to work, so I'll turn that off. and we can stick it down. One thing I don't like about this kit is the fact that it's single use with the adhesive. I'd rather they had screws like the original. It just looks like it's going to be a hassle taking it apart again. Oh, I'll refocus. But that's how it is. So peel the adhesive tabs off. I don't really have nails, so it's quite tricky. Might get in closer for that one. Again, make sure it's turned off. Still in focus, yep. Okay. Would help a lot if you don't bite your nails with this one. Or if you've got a missus with sharp nails, you'd get her to peel it off. Easily the hardest part of the install, I think. There we go. Oop, almost got it. There we go. First half done. The other side. You want to make sure you're not bending the cable or putting too much force on it. You don't want to snap it. I wonder if it's easier from... No, it's not. Might rotate it around. There we are. Get my little broken toothpick under there just to help out. There we go. Alright, final step. You tuck the copper bit under. Make sure it's all lined up nicely and flush, because you only get one attempt. And press it down. That's it. Should be installed. So I'll turn it on. Focus down on it. That's pretty good. So it wasn't too hard to install. The sticker was a bit finicky. Getting the speaker in was a bit of a struggle as well. Battery wasn't too bad. I just used a toothpick. Nice and easy. Again, don't use anything metal on the battery, because if you short those two pins out, you'll have a bad time. I should have protection circuitry, but you don't want to trip that anyway. And just make sure you don't over tighten any of the screws. So we've installed it all. Let's take a look at what it can do and some of its features. I think that'll do it for part one. In part two, we'll take a look at some of the features, take a look at what it can do, and also some of the quirks with it. Alright, thanks for watching.